Hey guys, welcome back to Indie Choice Picks. I got about 5 more interviews left before my hiatus in October. I'm taking a whole month off just so you guys are aware. I'm not abandoning you. I need a vacation for a little while, all right? But today, on today's show, I have the creator of, and I hope you forgive me if I say this wrong, the name of the indie comic is Eudaimonia, which means happiness in Greek, I think. Eudaimonia. Very interesting concept, very interesting stories here. It's actually accumulation of many stories from different perspectives of different characters taking place during World War One. So I hope you guys enjoy this collection of comics, and I hope you guys enjoy this interview as I bring on the creator of Eudaimonia, issue number 1. You guys enjoy. Josh, man, thank you for coming on to the show. Your book, let me see if I can pronounce this right. Eudaimonia?
Close enough. That's good.
Okay, cool, man. Well, tell us a little bit about the story, how you guys came up, or how you came up with the story and all that fun stuff. Mike is yours.
All right. So Eudaimonia is a four-part miniseries. It revolves around World War One. I actually came up with this story because I'm a storyteller, so it's a story about a story. I came up with a story. My wife and I, we had just got married. We were driving across the country, and we were just like in the middle of nowhere, like just flat Earth, just like there's nothing going on. And I was just like, I grew up in like big cities. I'm like a city slicker. And I was just looking around and I was like, yeah, what if there was a secret here? Like how would that secret like kind of spread out? And then made me think about like city dynamics and like how people talk and how there's no secrets. And this kind of led to this idea. And the problem is I can't really tell you what the secret is because that's like the whole crux of the story.
Okay, no worries.
But Eudaimonia is basically it's these four stories about World War One, and they kind of interlock. There are these singular moments in each story that you're going to see from completely different perspectives, and so it's kind of hard to label the story as being like a traditional war story because there's nothing normal about war, and it's not really about people being heroes. It's about people like kind of overcoming what the war has done to them and just trying to make like a build like a normal life out of something like that. So it's really non-traditional, and I'm really excited. I think people are really going to like this when they get their hands on it. Uh, Emmy's art is just like absolutely amazing. I went through like I was trying to get talking to artists and like trying to get like a little bit of samples out of them. It just wasn't working. And then Emmy read it and he was just like he got it. Like he threw me some samples and I was just like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. I want that kind of page that people are just gonna like stare at forever and pick up all the little details out of. And yeah, I'm really excited. I can't really give a lot of details on it though because it's just like it's such a weird series of stories that kind of interlock with one another.
Okay. It's funny that you say what you said before about war and how um, we see it as one way, but it's actually if you actually served and went to war, it's not all fun and games. Um,
Yeah.
I went to go see Angel Has Fallen last night, and if you don't know
Okay.
what that is, that's the sequel to Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen.
Okay.
And Gerard Butler's character, Mike Banning, he's starting to experience more of a psychological effect of him protecting the president and his service when he was in the military. And then, spoiler alert, I don't know if you're going to go watch the movie or not, but he meets his dad in the movie who's just all messed up because
Yeah.
of Vietnam and stuff like that. And one scene in the movie, he goes, um, you've been to Iraq? And he goes, yeah, well, you've been to Nam. And he goes, it's all the same. War is war. Nam is like Iraq. Nam is like World War II. Nam is like World War One. Nam is war. And you want the war because that's all you've ever known. But you
Yeah.
don't know what it's going to do to you later on in terms of psychological health and stuff like that. So I see that a lot in a lot of the veterans on Twitter. I mean, they served our country, and I praise them for what they've done for our freedom, but at
Yeah.
the same time, the way they're being treated on just everywhere for doing what they thought was the right thing, which it is the right thing. And some of these people are just treating them like garbage because they served in the military, and I just find that really, really, really disrespectful on
Well,
Twitter.
So okay, so think about this, right? So this is a World War One story, and I'm a big history guy.
Okay.
And you know, when you study history, whether you study literature, people tend to fall into the things that they're just naturally drawn to. And for me, World War One was one of those things. So here's something to think about, right? Like we were saying, like how we treat people in the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
When trying to think of how to put this. So somebody dies in battle, we honor them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We honor their sacrifice, we honor their life. We don't honor the death itself. Like the death is almost like an unfortunate byproduct of what it takes to honor them. But for a lot of like almost all of human history, that's how it was seen. And World War One was basically the breaking point where we started to learn not to do that. So before World War One, there was this idea of it's like, yeah, my son died in battle. Isn't that great? And so, like for all of human history, that's how we actually looked at it. It wasn't until World War One happened that it became that it was basically so awful that the reality of it began to sink in. We began to look at war in a different kind of way.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that whole concept kind of bled a little bit into pop culture as well. Say, for example, Star Trek, you have the Klingons who actually, they want to die an honorable death. Like,
Yeah,
they don't care how they live. They want to die an honorable death. They want to redeem each other or redeem themselves if they've shamed the family. Same with Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z. Same thing. They want to die a warrior's death, you know, and it's a lot of them, Mogadorians and I Am Number 4, same concept. So,
yeah.
and,
So when
and
we see it now in culture, it's like shocking. It's like it seems so extreme and barbaric, and yet that was us for a really long time. The Spartan, I think it was the Spartans who would say you either come back a winner or on your shield. Like it didn't matter. Like victory or death were the same outcome.
yeah, and I think a lot of that too, it goes back to, I think it kind of extends further into World War II because a lot of people got drafted into the war, and half of those people, those men who got drafted, they knew they weren't coming back. It was do or die. You know, they stormed the beach of Normandy. They were doing that on D-Day, and they knew what was going to happen, and they had to accept the reality that this is, I have to do what I need to do. I can't pussy out. I have to go over there and fight. Or, you know, if I don't fight, I'm going to be ashamed. Or if I do fight, I'm going to die. They didn't really have a choice, you know. And when people hear those stories, and I've heard so many World War II stories of people who actually went to Normandy and come back, and all the shit that they saw on the beach, climbing over bodies, using bodies as shields and stuff like that to make sure that they don't die. It's terrifying, man. It's terrifying to be 18 in 1945 and be drafted into the military knowing that you probably won't come home. That's absolutely nuts.
And then sorry, I'm not trying to be like a World War One hipster, but you know,
That's all good, dude.
but for World War One, I think it was like 30,000 Americans under the age of 18 were fought
Really?
in England, France, and Germany. You had as young as 15. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There was a famous battle in World War One that it was basically two battalions of teenagers fighting each other.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's heavy. I mean, how do we go from like, okay, you have the Revolutionary War where we fought the British, and then you had Civil War where we fought each other, and these troops were 18 and over, and then you get to World War One, and you have to draft kids as young as 15 to go fight a war.
You know what? There's actually an interesting argument to be made that Spider-Man contributed to that. It's a bit of a historical stretch, but I can make this case. Okay,
I got time. Go for it.
Okay, so you know we have teenagers and we have adults now, but we didn't always have that distinction. You were of the age where you could work and support yourself, or you weren't. There was no such thing as a teenager, and there are a lot of people who make the case that Spider-Man had helped contribute to the idea that the teenager was even a thing. Like it didn't even exist before. But yeah, like those classic Spider-Man stories about like what it's like to kind of grow up in between being young and being old kind of helped shape that identity of the teenager. So we now look at it really a lot differently than we used to.
And I can see that happening because Spider-Man is one of the most beloved Marvel characters. I'm sad what Disney just did to him, man. That was messed up. That was messed up what they did to Tom Holland. But
I'm so far deep into it now that like I've just let all that stuff go. Like okay, let me ask you a question. What is your most beloved property? Like your grail, like the thing that you consider most sacred?
Like in terms of material things?
Well, no, like just an intellectual property. Like, what would you say is your most coveted, like most cherished, sacred one?
I would have to say the books I wrote back in 2009.
No,
I
I
think,
mean like a property, like a Hollywood property. Like,
oh, like a Hollywood property.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's a lot. Let me see if I can pin it
But
down.
no, but I mean, it's got to be just one.
I know.
You
I
just
lost.
got to pick one, like one that nobody can touch forever.
As in, like touch, like how they did, like touch and like change it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Can it be a video game?
like Ruin. Yeah, sure.
I would go. I have two, but I would. One is Pokemon, which has already been touched a little bit, and the other one is The Legend of Zelda, which still has its little classics. So I'm gonna go with Zelda. I love Zelda. I can play all the Zelda games all day.
So for me, that one thing that I would never want ruined is Doctor Who,
Hmm.
and it's already been ruined. So it's basically like my heart is just so black at this point that I don't care. Like it's like you can't hurt me anymore. Like I've basically just written off like a lot of things. Like it's just like do whatever the hell you want. I don't, I
Yeah.
don't care anymore. I have the things that are important to me, and I'm not gonna like fret about what you want to do with a character or a story. Like I've already, yeah, I'm basically, nah, I don't even want to use the term like hardened veteran or anything, but yeah, yeah, that's me now.
There was a time where people thought that they had already messed up Zelda because I don't know if you know any of the lore, but Link, the main hero, gets there's different versions of Link, and I think in like Hyrule Warriors, either one or two, they made Link a girl, and people were like, "Why is Link a girl now? That doesn't make sense." But if you look at the lore, it kind of does because if the hero gets reborn every so many years when Ganon returns, why haven't there been a female Link? And I'm all against the progressiveness in like the media and all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. But when they said that, oh, Link will be a girl in this game, I go, that's an interesting concept how you did that. So to me, the game hasn't been ruined because I was like, oh, a female Link. Now is Zelda a boy? Are you guys gender swapping here and stuff like that? But it didn't. That's not considered canon, so I didn't really worry about it. But people were just up in arms about it, and I'm like, guys, it's okay. It's not canon.
Yeah, I think it's like it's not even so much what you do to the character anymore as far as like what role they're in. It's just that at this point we already know you're going to do it so poorly that you now saying like we made this person this, and it's like yeah, this is going to be, it's like a sign, like you already know, hell, this is going to be garbage, isn't it?
Yeah, you can already tell like the new Terminator movie. Like I saw the trailer for it last
uh
night, and I'm like, I don't see anything that's good about this. But there is something floating around on Twitter right now about Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. How at the D20 or I don't know the Disney Expo D3 Expo someone found a script, and the last scene revealed that Ray is actually a Sith. And in my head, I'm like, if they make her a Sith, that would make the entire sequel trilogy just redeemable after The Last Jedi because you
okay.
have this. Oh, dude, you have this chick running around who no one knows who she is, and then came The Last Jedi, just fucking retconned everything, and everyone was just so mad how you set up this awesome story arc for this character. No one cared that she was a woman. They cared about her story. Who is she? Where does she come from? How can she do the things she do? That's awesome writing. When you get to The Last Jedi, you retcon all of that, and people were upset because they waited 2 years to find out who Ray was. People theorizing, is she a Solo? Is she a Kenobi? Is she a Skywalker? Who is this chick, right? So I'm really like interested in seeing how J.J. Abrams finished up the sequel trilogy with The Rise of Skywalker, just to see if Ray is more than just this girl with a lightsaber who can just do Mary Sue things and stuff like that. I'm praying, I'm hoping that they fix it because The Last Jedi was just so garbage. I have it sitting on my shelf and I'm like this close to just like throwing it out. Like doesn't make sense to me.
But like it's not a character, is it? Because it's like if you've reached the third movie and you realize that like isn't it more of the same? Because it's like if you reach a third movie and you realize, well, we haven't really built a character, but we can do something that subverts their expectations, that well, you still don't have a character.
Yeah, but it's J.J. Abrams, and so far Abrams hasn't let me down in terms of what he does. So he might be able to fix some of the stuff that Ryan Johnson put in The Last Jedi. So I love J.J. Abrams' work, except that Spiderman thing he's doing. I'm a little iffy on that. I think he's writing a Spider-Man comic with his kid or something like that. And I'm like, oh, great. Look, another Spider-Man comic. We don't need
Yeah.
more of those. But he hasn't really let me down in terms of what he does at work. I love Fringe. I love Lost. I love Star Trek movies that he did. They were great. So I'm reserving judgment until more of the trailer comes out, more of the information comes out. So I'm not really gonna sit here and bash Rise of Skywalker when we don't really know much about it. The trailer
Yeah.
that they launched, it was really, I wouldn't say bland. Where it didn't give us a lot of information. It was just the Emperor laughing, ha ha ha, and that's where the internet freaking destroyed itself. So we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
So what
I
made you?
wasn't all that keen.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I wasn't all that keen on the Star Trek movies just because it was like Fast and the Furious in space, and it's just like I just want to go back to like Picard drinking Earl Grey, and yeah, that was weird for me.
Yeah, I wasn't really a Star Trek fan. My mom was a huge Star Trek fan. She loves Star Trek. And when she found out they were making a movie, she got super excited. And I go, what's the big deal? Just another Star Trek movie. There's like 18 of them. But then they went back to like Kirk and Spock and like their origin story, which wasn't never really told in the original series. So I was like, origin story? Okay, I can get behind
The
this.
second one where I kind of jumped off, I was like, yeah, this is not. I'm not feeling this.
I loved Into Darkness. That's like
Okay.
my favorite Star Trek movie of all time. I love it. Benedict Cumberbatch. That's the reason why I loved it, because he did such a great job on it. And it's, to me, like Star Trek Into Darkness and maybe Beyond are kind of one of the biggest underrated movies. Beyond could have been better, to be honest. I think they just put it together, Justin Lin, because he was Fast and Furious. So he's like, Star Trek, I don't know how to do this, but let's put a motorcycle on there just because that's all I know. But those two are like one of the biggest underrated movies that I've ever watched. And I love those movies. They're great. They're well done too. So fantastic. I'm going to share my screen with you because I got your campaign open up on my second monitor. So let me know when you're able to see the second screen.
Yep.
Cool, man. So real quick, why did you choose World War I as the focal point of the story?
Well, they say write what you know. And I wanted it to be, it was basically, I had built the story around this idea of having a secret. And then I want like, well, why is all of this happening? And World War I just became like the perfect vessel, not for the initial story, but then the kind of interconnecting stories, because like this story spans 50 years and like half of the globe. And so what would connect so many people in that amount of time? And World War I just kind of became the vessel for that. So you have the first story is about, and by the way, none of the main characters have actual names. So it's kind of like references to old school things. And so the first character is the old man. He fought in World War One. The second mini story is called The Harlem Hellfighter.
Okay.
It's about a African American soldier who fights in the war, and African Americans in World War One really got done pretty dirty as far as allowing them to live up to their potential and what was promised them after the Civil War. The third story is an origin story for a side character introduced in the first. And then the fourth story is another side character that kind of ties everything together.
So there's like, okay, so you have 4 characters here, 4 stories, and what I'm hearing is they all intersect at some point. They're like intertwining stories.
Yeah, so you'll see a character in one scene, and then you'll just kind of forget about them. But then you'll see that they have their own story, and then you'll get to see that those scenes kind of repeat.
Okay,
They might not look the same because, like, if you look at the image here at the bottom of the girl playing the cello, like that's not really what's happening. It's like kind of like magical realism going on. So like that's not what that looks like. But to a soldier that's in an incredible amount of anguish, that's what he sees. Like that's what seeing her play that song looks like, or what it feels like.
Sounds like it's going to be a very introspective kind of piece of work here. Like you're kind of digging deep with feelings and emotions and trying to tell an even bigger story with a message behind it.
Yeah, no, my writing is definitely message free. It's what's there and what that means to you.
All right, all right. So, we got 4 stories. How long are each of them going to be?
So the first issue, first story is 30 pages. Um, the unlockable is going to determine the length of the second story. It's a really short story, so like it could only be like 10 pages. But then the third and fourth stories are going to be like 50 and 30, I want to say.
Okay.
So
Sounds like
once it all gets, we're going to do like one, there's going to be Eudaimonia number 1 with these 2 stories, and then there's going to be a second and a third. And then hopefully if we get enough eyes on it, we can do like pull them all together into one complete, like 120-page book.
that sounds awesome. See, I'm signing up for your stuff right now because
Thanks, man.
I like the idea of just like reading about, because I like history too.
Yeah.
It's fun to know your history, and I think what's going on today is that people don't know the right history, and they think they do. So a lot of misinformation going around about certain wars and stuff like that, and it's I think it's
Oh, I got stories, man, like you wouldn't believe. Like,
were
like
you did you serve?
what's that?
Did you serve in the military?
No, I did not. But my father-in-law he served. My other father-in-law served. My father served.
So
Yeah, actually, my father-in-law just retired from the military.
really, what branch?
What's that?
What branch?
I want to say I can't think of the name of what his like title is. Like how they have like P4 and M4, and
Hmm.
all I know is like I went out to see him. We visited him on he was serving in Hawaii, and he's a helicopter pilot, but
Oh,
he
wow.
trains people to be helicopter pilots. So if you can imagine how terrifying it would be to be flying a helicopter, imagine being in a helicopter where the person flying is learning how to fly. Like that just blew my mind.
Wow. I don't know. I wanna kind of start getting into flying. I live in Vegas, so there's a lot of people here who own helicopters, or they go out and flying and planes and stuff
Wait,
like
you're in
that.
Vegas? Why did we get up so early?
I have a long day ahead of me, bro. I have
Oh,
a
okay, all right.
very long day. Where are you at?
Oregon.
Okay, yeah. Sundays are usually my rest day, but it went from being able to rest to having more work, and I don't know how that happened, but I don't really know what to do. So just got to bite the bullet and just have a 7-day week, I suppose.
That's we were actually just looking about like visiting y'all down there,
Yeah, Vegas. You
like
wanna?
checking out the buffets. No, I actually used to be a professional poker player on the internet when that was legal, and I did that for like 2 years, and then I had run my bankroll up to like 37,000. Like I was doing
Wow.
good. I was like on my way, and I just woke up one morning and it was just gone. Like the Department of Justice just shut it down completely.
Oh, so you lost all that money?
No, it took me like 3 years to get it all back.
Oh, dude, that's
Like
insane.
there were lawsuits involved, and yeah,
We have the
that's
world.
actually what made me go back to school. I was like, well, I can't do this anymore. So
Well, they have the World Series of Poker here like every year at the Rio.
yeah,
And it's a nightmare because I used to sell timeshare at the Rio.
yeah,
So during that like month and a half spin of World Series, like, and these dudes are here to play poker. They're not here to buy
yeah.
timeshare, even though they have the money. They're not here to do any. No one wants to buy a timeshare anymore. Like, I think that's a dying business, to be honest. It was good money in the
Yeah.
beginning, but it was after that, it was like, man, no one's doing these tours. So yeah, man, when do you plan on launching your comic? I see that you are in pre-launch. How's that going for you?
It's going all right. So I don't think I'm going to be doing too crazy because this is literally my first book.
Hmm.
My goal is to sell 100 copies. Anything beyond that is whatever. But I think there's a lot of opportunities here because I know that you're working on you have a book coming up, right?
Yes, I'm on and off about it. I'm getting close to my wedding, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of planning with that. So I
Oh, congrats.
thanks, man. I have to like put that on hold until after the weddings. But yeah, it's in the works for sure. It's almost.
So yeah, we're launching on September 12th because I really wanted the launch. It's going to be 60 days. I really wanted the time the launch to end on Armistice Day when World War One ended because I'm weird like that. But I grew up a collector, right? Like I collected, the first comic book I ever got, I traded a Joe Carter rookie card for Namor the Submariner #1. So like baseball cards, Pokemon cards, comic books, records, books. Like I've always been about collecting. And the thing that's really weird to me is that there isn't a lot of like cross-pollination between the different kind of like collectible things. And that's always been so weird to me. So like I'll give you an example. This is what I'm doing. If you look at the cover up there, if you look at what makes a book really valuable, it's that first edition. That's what everybody wants. So if you have like a favorite book, even if it's like not even if it's not like a huge classic, getting a first edition is going to cost you a lot of money. Like it could be upwards like thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. So having something on your book that really denotes that it's a first edition, I think would be something that could be huge. And by the way, any of these ideas you can totally take if you think it's a good idea.
Okay.
The other thing that's always been kind of big. Now, obviously, everybody signs autographs on comics. That's not really a big thing. But the one thing that really made sports cards like just take off when it took off again was serial numbering. Just having it serial numbered so you know how many out of how many this book is. Now, if you're Marvel or DC, that doesn't work for you. And I've seen some books that do that because it's like, oh, okay, I have this book and there's 99,999 of them. Well, who cares? But for guys like us that are, doing these low numbers, having those serial numbers in there could be something that's like, that makes it collectible, that makes the customer like really urgent, like, oh, I got to get this. There's only going to be like this, 200-300 of these printed. Trying to think what else. Yeah, so for my book, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have the typical, like, the signed book thing. But if people buy at that tier, it's going to be, number one, it's going to be signed in gold pen or gold paint, and then it's going to be serial numbered. So if I only sell 100 books and people like this and I don't know where it's going to go, like where the second or third book could go, but if it's, popular enough, that first book that has a serial number on it that only like 100 of them were made and has a first edition stamp on it, that could be something that a collector is really going to want. And I think that there are a lot of opportunities for small indie writers like us that we can implement some of these ideas that big companies just can't do because it doesn't do anything or it doesn't make it collectible at all.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's a lot of indie books are coming out because I think the reason why that is because a lot of people, they don't like what the big three or the big two are doing, Marvel and DC. They don't like the whole progressiveness that's coming along with their story. So a lot of people are going indie, and a lot of people who don't read Marvel or DC or used to read Marvel or DC are finding these independent creators and going for their stuff instead. Like I've had people on the show who have amazing just stories and concepts and artwork. And someone asked me, well, if it's so amazing, why isn't it being published by Marvel and DC? And it's a simple answer. We don't want it to be published by Marvel and DC because they're just going to take it, revamp it, and make it just completely worse. And when you're doing a book or a comic book, or you're an independent creator overall, like whatever you create, that's your baby. You don't want anybody touching your baby. You don't want anybody coming in and just making it to where, oh, I'm going to take this and make it this way. Because you're like, no, this is mine. I have it this way. Don't change anything.
Yeah. My whole thing is, like, if this book doesn't go anywhere, that's fine. I'll be fine. But, like, my main goal for this is I want there to be more eyes on Emmy Trer's work. Like, the work he's done on my book has just been so incredible. And the fact that he isn't, like, a big name, the fact that I could even have him do that is, like, a crime to me. So if I can just get some more eyes on his stuff, I'll be a happy guy at the end of the day. I don't know if there's any way you can pull up. I'm going to send you this. This is some fresh art to show you. I don't know if you have your Twitter chat open.
Actually, there's a chat box right here on.
Shoot.
Yeah, you could just, if you move up the taskbar, you can see chat. You can just send it straight through there.
Oh no, my plan backfired. I see save chat. I don't see an option to add a picture there though.
Oh, the picture?
I just put a picture on Twitter. Like,
okay, let me see if I can open up Twitter really quick.
Like this art is just like,
all right. I need to get a new computer. My Twitter is running super slow.
I know, like this. I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit him with this art, and it's gonna be like a total surprise, and he's just gonna be blown away live on the air.
All right, messages. Where are my messages? There you are. Huh, apparently, I'm always logged in on Twitter. That's kind of scary.
You have a problem.
Yeah, right. It's on my desktop. I usually do things on my phone, but I just leave it open in case I need to upload a video from my computer, so I don't have to go back and what's my password? No one remembers my password.
How's your story coming along? You working on it all?
I worked on it a little bit a couple weeks ago. That was the last time I touched it. I told my artist to take a break because the wedding and stuff is probably going to be mainly prioritized right now. So I told him after we get married and after things kind of slow down, the last quarter of the year from October to like December, get more work in. But I mean, still working on colors and stuff. I just finished 2 pages. A couple days ago, actually, and it looks really good. You know, you finish a page and you were like, "Oh, that looks good, but that was too easy. How can I make it better?" I was sitting there staring at my page. I'm like, "Can I add a light flare over here? Maybe some reflection over there. Maybe it needs some depth over here." I don't really know, but you always try to make things better. All right, I'm going to share screen so we can show the people really quick.
What was your favorite Pokemon?
Out of the original 150, or
I mean, ever.
my favorite Pokemon, hands down, is Blaziken.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what game I play, I gotta have me a Blaziken in the mix.
Growlithe.
Growlithe, yeah. Arcanine. If you can train that sucker, that thing is very, very, very powerful. So, can you see my screen right here?
Yeah.
Cool, man. So your artist did this?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I can't really see the words. It's a little.
That's
small.
okay.
Wait, is this a page in your book?
What's that?
Is this a page in your book?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is one of those moments where when you see this moment again, it's not going to look anything like that.
Really?
Yeah. It basically spends the first half of the story setting up this moment, and then you see it here, and it's this way now, but in the end, it won't be.
I got you. That looks freaking fantastic, man. All right. I'm going to close this up. We're kind of coming to the end of our time together, Joshua. I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. I really am looking forward to seeing what you do with Eudaimonia. Did I say it right?
Yes. You know what?
Eudaimonia.
Let's save it. It's the good life. It's a Greek philosophy about finding the good life, living a life that's worth living despite the things that we go through.
I agree. And I think that's a good philosophy that everyone should use, especially in 2019 where everyone's just up in rage for no reason at all.
Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on. So if you ever do anything else regarding whether it's Eudaimonia or anything else, dude, I'm always welcome to have creators back on the show at any time, man. For sure.
Thanks, man.
No problem, man. You have a good Sunday, dude.
You too.
Bye.
And that's all the time we have for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this installment of Indie Choice Picks. Of course, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a second, third, fourth time coming back, okay, guys, hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out over here. By the way, the channel will be going through a huge change. We're actually going to be changing our name and changing a little bit of our platform. Still, you're going to get the Indie Choice Pick Show, of course. I'm not going to abandon that, as long as I can get people on the show, of course. But with a new project coming on, Nerd Power Hour, we're actually changing our name to the Pop Culture Syndicate. Yeah, that sounds pretty dope, right? So if you haven't yet, check out our newest collection of shows, Nerd Power Hour, and of course, Them's the Facts, which is hosted by me, Will, at Heroic Studios, where I bring you factual information about all of pop culture, or at least the ones that I know of. All right, so I enjoy you guys. I love you guys when you guys come and watch. Guys, share this video. Remember to support indie artists everywhere. And if you are an indie creator working on a webcomic, a campaign, an Indiegogo, or a Kickstarter, guys, you can reach out to me on Twitter, Will at Heroic Studios. You can't forget that name. It's basically straightforward. It's who I am and where I'm at. Alright, guys, I will see you next time with another episode of Indie Choice Picks. You guys enjoy your weekend.